Hi everybody, it's Tony Visco. Welcome to Painting for Pleasure. We're going to do a street scene today. This scene was taken from a shot that I took up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It's just a typical scene, not quite city suburb kind of thing. Buildings, homes along the street, but it'll give us a general idea as to how to handle city scenes. Anyway, this is one of the ways. I'm going to come over here, one of the scenes that I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here and we're going to paint the sky first like I usually do. And I'm going to work down into the buildings over here. And we're going to keep them simple and free of clutter, hopefully, in terms of how we're going to approach this. So let's start off by taking our water. Here's my palette. It's fairly clean, okay? And we're going to start to mix our paints. Sky first, but we want to wet the sky before we do anything. So let's come over here and just start to bring some water into this area. Now I'm working on Strathmore today. This is a 140-pound cold press Strathmore, neutral free. 100% rag content, and basically I can go pretty much over everything here because I'm going to paint my buildings a little bit on the gray side, and we're going to just start to wet the sky a little bit. And let me just do one other thing here. Let's tape down the corners. What happens generally on this is that I usually use bulldog clips or tape, like I'm doing right now. And in some cases, because I'm not wetting the back side, the paper curls forward. So let's just put this down here and we'll catch the corners. So this ought to be a fun piece to do. Now, it's a little complicated in the drawing, so I'm going to send this out to you. What I think I'm going to do is I'll send out a drawing, line drawing to you as well. It might help you. I'm not too sure. But anyway, well, let's see what we can do to get this started. So again, the sky's going to be wet, and we don't have to worry about cutting around a lot of this because we're going to paint a lot of this, a lot of stuff, a lot of the buildings and everything a bit darker than the sky is going to be. So I do want to get a nice feeling of sky. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of cobalt blue. And we're going to come in here and we're going to start to add some cobalt blue to the sky, give it a little bit of a sheen over there, a little bit of a bluish cast. But I'm going to come in here and we're going to create a little bit more interest in the sky, and that we're going to turn it a bit on the gray side. And that means I'm going to take my burnt sienna and mix it with my cobalt blue to get more of a grayish color. Okay, see this? More of a grayish color. The more cobalt blue you use, the cooler it's going to be. The more burnt sienna you use, it's going to be a little bit warmer. And so we want to keep this fairly on the light side, and I'm not trying necessarily to go, I'm not worried too much about going through some of this stuff, but I am going to do my best to try to not do that. Okay, and we will continue to do this over. I'm using a flat brush to start cutting around my chimneys. And I need to take up, we don't want this water to drip down too much, so I'm just going to absorb some of it. And maybe I'm going to just get it just a bit more grayer. So I'm going to use a little bit heavier pigment as I come over here. That'll help me to give my city, that is all of the buildings and that'll help give my buildings a little bit of an interesting form as we come off here. Now this is critical right here, because what I want to do is make sure that I have enough of this blending in so that I don't get, what I don't want to do is to get a line in here that's evenly divided. I want this all sort of to blend in, so I'm taking the water out of my brush and I'm just lightly going over it. Okay? All right, so what ends up happening here is that I have some water that's wicking down. I'm at an angle, some water that's wicking down, and as long as that's there and I can continue to come down here with that, I can continue to come down so that it is there won't be any linear aspects to this. As soon as it dries like this, I have a problem with it. That's not going to happen. But over here, I can sort of bring it down if I want. Not that I want to do that. I'm going to turn this stuff into, I'm going to get a little lighter back here. I'm going to go and get into a little bit of my underpainting now for the buildings and the background. And again, what we're going to do is come in here and maybe a little bit of a, let's take a little bit of yellow ochre, a neutral color here, and we're just going to come back here and we're going to start to do some really light, feeling of light value in and around the back area here. Now we have some buildings back here. We have some homes that are back in that area. That we're gonna work with. We'll bring them out. So add just a touch of, I'm going to add a touch of my Opera Rose. Here, let's just show it. I'm going to add a touch of my Opera Rose to my yellow ochre. So I'm going to get a sort of a pinkish color here, this salmon color, which I want to do back in this area. Okay, so we have some of that going on here. And I'm going to start to build my salmon color in some of these buildings here. Now, this is, I'm not wetting this. I'm just going to paint this as I go. So this is going to be wet on dry. All right, we're going to come down here. We're going to sort of work our way around the vehicles. Because I'm going to paint a lot of this stuff. I'm going to paint darker, but I want this to be a little bit warmer, and then I'm going to come and get it cooler as I come forward. And so we're going to come over here and do this, and as I come forward, that's going to be warm right there. And as I come forward, I'm going to start to get a little cooler in my values, all right, in my color, cooler colors. So I just want to see a little bit grayer around my buildings, okay, and then grayer and warmer probably by adding a little bit of burnt sienna to this. All right, and then I'm going to add a little bit of blue in here. So I'm changing up a bit. I'm going from cools to warms. Okay, this building right here. All right. So what you see what I'm doing is I'm changing up as I move along. I'm coming in here. I'm going to get cooler on this side a little bit more. And then as I come up here, I got a sign that's right here, so we're just going to go around that sign. I want to get a little bit warmer. Okay. Now I probably could go right through this lamp, street lamp. Probably wouldn't be, it would be fine because it's going to be darker really. Yeah, I suppose I could just do that. So let's just go right through the whole thing because it's going to get darker. All right, so we'll do that. Come up here. Now I also have some underpainting. I have some trees that are green, leafy kinds of stuff that's going on. So I'm going to take a little bit of my New Gamboge and mix it in here with this, all of this color, and I'm going to take a little bit of, I'll show you what I'm doing. Let's, again, going back, a little bit of New Gamboge and a little bit of my cool cobalt blue and mixing a green, adding that, but it's going to be a greenish gray. So that's going to be a little bit more blue, and we'll get this greenish gray going. Want the light green first. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're just going to indicate some foliage, and indicate some foliage here. And as I see this, as I look at this, maybe this foliage is going right around this lamp. So we have a hidden tree, let's say, back in that area. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. Back here a bit, we have some hidden, we have some greenish values that are going to be indicating a foliage pattern back there. We got some green trees that are going on. We have some up in here that are going to go on. All right, so it's typically city kind of thing with a lot of stuff going on. We have trees and so forth. Now here's, in this area right here, I've got the same thing. I've got some light, bright light trees that are in these areas here. All right, so this is all, I'm painting all of this stuff is going to be wet on dry. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just sort of working my way around. I'm cutting my way around. You can do this with a I got a light here too. You can do this with a round brush too, as long as you have a nice fine point to it. All right. And that tree is going to go back right around this. We have this building right here. And we have some bushes also down here, so we want to make sure that we get those in. And I'm going to change that up. I'm going to make it a little bit warmer. By adding my yellow ochre to this. And we're going to make that light post dark anyway, so we're just going to go right over it. I'm going to come down here and do the same thing with this one. Okay. And a little bit of the same thing back here. Okay. And we're going to end up with a little bit of cool side, cool blue. In this area here and up here. Okay, so we have pretty much where I want to put all my buildings. Let's see how they're going. This is warmer, cooler, all of the stuff that's going on over here. And that's all sort of by design. Now, this area down here is a bit of a dark area, shadows. Let's do it a little bit darker, a little bit bluer. Grayer, if you will. Okay, and we end up having some darks right back here. And we'll brighten that up over there. Again, this is puddling. I don't want that to be puddling too much. All right. And we have a lot of nice greens and blues going on in here. I really would like to get in here and do some warmer colors. Again, going back to this nice color that we have. This is just upper rose, and we're going to come around down here with a sidewalk that's going to be a bit upper rose like, and then the street, add a little bit more bluish blue to that upper rose and get a little bit more of this value changing. As we come across here. All right, and we're going to end up with some white streaks. Let's get a little bit more upper rose in here. Make this a little bit lighter. Okay, in the same way with the sidewalk, by adding a little bit more, but we're just going to add a little bit more yellow ochre to this on the sidewalk. And this is the street area right here. This is going this way. Okay. And what do we have up here? A little bit of warmth in this area here. That's my sign. But we have some warmth in the lighthouse. I mean, sorry, not the lighthouse, but the lamp that's there. And we're going to do something over here that's the same thing. We're going to take a little bit of my upper rose and come down here. This building is going to be red. It's going to be a brick building. Oh, I'd forgotten what happened with this. This is paper that's old. You're going to start to see some marks that are going to be coming through here. These are foxing kind of marks. The paper's dead. It's all right. Well, for the sake of our argument here and for the sake of purposes of what we're doing, it'll be fine. A little bit more value. How the building's on the side. A little bit more value there. A little bit grayer on the side of the building here. And and a little bit of more of a alizarin crimson type underneath. We're going to make this a little bit darker under here. All right, and that will be that. All right, so we have cool, warm, basic underpainting. We'll go back in, create some more interest in here. Do something over here. We're going to create some shadow. We can see. Now I'm doing this ahead of time. This is basically a shadow coming across the sidewalk in this area here. Shadows in here. This just helps to create the illusion that I want. Okay. We're going to do shadows under the vehicles, of course. I say, of course, like I'm sure I'm doing this, but here you go. We got something that's going to go on, something like that. And we've got some darks that are going to go on in here. Now, this is my window. Window there. Window here. We'll put that in. My roof. We have a roof coming down this way, which is the roof structure is going to be gray. We're going to have a gray roof here as well. We've got some gray roofs coming down here, a little bit of gray back in this area here. So all I'm really doing is doing my underpainting. Okay, this is going to be dark under here. This area under here is going to be dark because we have an overhang, and it should be a little bit more than that. A little darker. Let's get some darker value. Now I'm just simply mixing again. Darker values are going to be the mixing of burnt sienna and my cobalt blue, or my French ultramarine blue if I'm really going to get super dark, okay? And as I look at my reference material, that's going to be dark. This is my vehicle. It's going to be dark vehicle right there. It's going to be dark. We'll have a darker under there. It's a light vehicle. This is a dark vehicle back here. We got a couple of little dark vehicles back there. Right, so we'll make them into vehicles. Don't worry about it. These are just shapes right now that I'm putting in. Okay, so we have back here. Nice. We have a steeple that we're going to put in. Dark there. This should be dry now, so we can probably make this darker. This is okay, and we'll get a little bit more wood color, huh? So I'm going to add right now in a little bit more of my burnt sienna, and we're just going to come across right here. We'll do the same here, same here, do something like that. They're just sort of telegraph poles, telephone poles, electrical wire poles sticking up there. Again, I'm not trying to do something that's exact. More interested in getting a general feeling of what's happening here with the roof lines. Okay, so we just want to get, what we're doing is we're creating the illusion of buildings rather than actual buildings. I have to get a different brush for this stuff. Let's get this done here. Okay, we want to get a little bit wider. Let's get a little bit more of this over here. Now, these are not, look at this. It's very wet. I can't do anything with this right now. Have to wait till it dries out a little bit more. So we'll work on some other projects here, part of the underside of maybe this here. Get that a little bit darker. All right, so we'll do that. Gonna do a little bit of the dark here, and we got some dark reflections up here. Play around with that. Get some dark areas over here, real shadowed down in this area here. Remember, guys, what we're doing here, we're creating the illusion. We're not painting all of the components exactly. We're creating the illusion or the general feeling of this town rather than paint all of the buildings exactly as they should. So I'm going to come in here with a smaller brush. I'm going to start to do a little bit more detail back here. All right, let's get some of that blue. We're making this green again. So what am I doing? Again, my green's going to be a combination of my cobalt blue or cerulean blue and my new gamboge. All right, so I'm mixing this all up. Make it a green-gray. And start to accent a little bit more of some of the stuff that's over here. We want to leave holes in some of these areas because it's important to do that, right? Okay? Because we're seeing through. I don't want, I'm trying desperately, and hopefully my head's not in the way. But again, we have some lighter, brighter things that are happening back here. Create the illusion of, again, this is the illusion of my trees in the background. Create a little bit, I'm going to create a little bit of a warmer value, a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, adding some blues. We want to make sure that we have things that are standing out that sort of look like they should be part of the scenery back here. Soften this up. We got that yellow house. I'm going to put that in there. Okay. Darker. Let's get this nice and dark. We're going to mix up a little bit of alizarin crimson. And I'm going to come over here. Create a nice dark as we come down. This whole thing is dark. Okay, that building is dark, and now it's going to come right down to here. And we're going to change it up a little bit more bluish as we come down to the, as we come down into here a little bit more. Okay. All right, and we have some other kinds of things that are happening back here. I have no idea whether they're buildings or whatever they are. And let's see what else. We've got that going on back there. And I am going to take a little bit of lighter value. We're going to darken up this a little bit more. Okay, and then we're going to come over back here. So we have that building back there. And we're going to darken up some of the other stuff on the other side too. Right there. Too much water. And I'm going to make it a little bit more, a little darker. We will make this trying to keep my head out of there, so hopefully my head's out. Okay. And bluer. I'll put my fingers in it so I can see what's happening here. I'll have to do something with that, clean it up, or not sure what yet. Okay. Again, we're just letting this dry out a little bit. I know what we have here back here. Let me just do this. Let me just lift off. If I can do this. See if I can come back here and lift some of that out of there. Might be still too wet to do. Let that dry out. We'll do that when it's nice and dry. Okay. So let's do some of the areas back here in this area here. We have just some darks that are going on. We have this post that's over here. It's holding up that sign. Change that up a bit. Add a little bit of this. We're going to make this dark in here. Not really defining anything. We don't want to define anything. We want to make sure that it's not defined so much as it just all blends together with some interest. For instance, the side of this building here, that's going to be light on that side, and this building is going to be a little bit on the darker side. Okay. And so this building here will be a little bit darker as well. Side of the building. Okay. Again, we have to let that dry. So we have I don't know what we have here. We have some darks up here. We have darks in this building here, maybe. And we have, I'm going to make this even darker and grayer right here. Shadow. We have that. Some solid values in here. All right. Okay. This is darker. This is not. These are just a reflection of the windows up here. We're going to just put a little bit of light value on that. And we're going to make this here darker. Darker down here. We have this mass. Feeling of trees. It's just a general. Actually, I'm going to make this one here more redder. And see, it's still a little bit on the wet side. Greener. We'll just pull all this together and then separate it when it dries. Nice and dark. Okay, we're starting to see this. We're starting to see this, right? When this dries, I'll go back and dry brush a lot of this stuff in, so that way we'll have more of what we're looking for here. This should be dry enough right now. Hopefully, we'll go back. Let's just come over here and put that in. Put that in. We'll actually make that even darker. Okay. And we'll come in here and make some of this even more darker there. Add a little bit of value to that. This is a light tone right now I'm putting in. It's going to actually really be dark, really dark. Okay, that's that. And coming down here to make that darker. Carefully painting this in. Street lamp. Right, so I don't know if I want to make that super dark because I don't want your eye over there. But we will do some stuff. We will do something. We have one here too. Oops. Okay. And we're going to make some of this dark in here too as well. Darker in here. Grayer. Let's get a little bit of this here. What I'm dealing with is a little bit of alizarin, I'm sorry, not alizarin crimson, but a little bit of opera rose in some of these areas here, because I have to create some shadows. I want them dark enough down here so that we create some interesting shadows as we come around here. Okay. And then what's going to end up happening is that the shadow is going to come across all right, so we have that sort of walkway look, right? Sidewalk look or whatever. And we'll bring the shadows right down into this area here. Okay. A little bit of that back in there. This is all mixed. Cover up my mistakes there. Okay. So let's do some small linear work with overhangs like here. Okay, here we got the overhang in this here. We have this going up this way here, and we have a building. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting in some windows or the feeling of windows. Okay, to give those, I want to give those buildings a little bit of a look like they're they have windows and doors in them and stuff like that. I'm going to just come over here and darken this up a bit right here. I don't know what's going on with this. We'll put that up there, make that look like it's home. That's just these are just marks, so guys. That's all I'm doing. Mark there, mark there, mark there, mark there, and we have a mark over here. Right, so we'll create this illusion of a street scene. My problem now is that I've got to get my maul stick here, something I can put down, because I'm putting my hands in the painting and I don't want to do that. Chimney over here, chimney over there, and we do have an overhang here, here, here. Let's get a little bit of my yellow ochre and my blue. Get more of that green in here. We're going to start to define this a little bit more. We have a bush right here as well. Okay. Probably have a bush down here too. I think we do. We'll just put some of those in. Okay, now I got a little bit of crap on my fingers and crap on this area here, so I think it's time to let it just set, dry. Let me get a. I'm going to get my dryer, and then I'll continue with this. Okay, so let's continue with this. I got it dry. I'm going to start to do some dry brush work now on this. I'm going to start to bring in a little bit more form so that you understand some of the key elements that are going on here that we need to deal with. So we're going to deal with a couple of things here. One, let's get back in here and do something with my real darks. The one thing I do want to do before I even do that, though, is I want to lift out, come over here, and I want to get some fresh water. I should have done this while I had the dryer going, but let's get some clean water. All right, so let's do this. What I want to do is come in here and take a little bit of water and lift out my edge. Right there, we're going to do something back there. We have a little scrub this out. Okay, there's a light there. Where else are we going to scrub out? Let's get put some lighter values in here. And we'll bring up a couple of small lighter value there. Red. What's going to happen here? Nice and strong. And put some of that in there. A little bit darker here. We just need the building has to have the characteristic shape of this building. It's got to be significant. Right, so we've got a line that's down there. All right, so that's going to be dark there. A couple of dark spots. These are all reflections in here anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. We got reflections going on in this window. Right here, a little darker. Over there, redder. Underneath. So we can see, basically we're just developing the building a little bit more. And a little bit of this under here too, because we have that. All right, so, and then what we have here is, we have It's holding up the top of those that area right there. All right, and we do have a little bit. Let's get some darks in here. Let's go back to this. All right, so we got some darks back here. We have oops, too much. We are going to make this building a little bit more interesting back here. All right. And we're going to end up having to some other stuff that's back in this area too. Okay. The same thing with this down here, just a little bit brighter values. My trees. What I'm doing is I'm putting in some darker values in here just to help to create a little bit more interest. All right. Do you understand what I'm saying? Just a little bit more interest in this area back here. Some real darks. Now we have this. We have this. These are telephone or light, I guess, electrical light poles that are over here coming down. Those are electric light poles. Going to make this darker over here. Okay. Some of this dark areas here. Darker. Just light, just things, happenings. Okay. Little areas that are going to just sort of work out. Okay, now we have the front of this building. This is a church building. Make that nice and dark, coming down that way. All right, and it's going to come out. Dark out, and it's going to be darker under here. And we're going to just put this in here, one here, and one here. And we'll do the same thing up here. All right, darker there, darker here. Okay, and then down. Okay. Now there's something that's just odd about this, so I'm going to stick this out a little bit more here. Don't want to change this direction up here. There's something that's going to go on over there too. Okay. Right. So this is where the drawing aspect comes in. If nothing else, it's just a matter of coming in here and starting to define some of these little things little nuances that we're putting in here. Okay, this here. Couple of these. All right. So this is here, that's there. We have a telephone pole, electric pole, right, coming down here. Okay. Let me change that up a bit. Give it a little bit more, making me a little bit more of a varied interest. Make this a little bit more interesting here. Oh. All right. All right, same thing with this one here. It's fairly light, but we're going to make it darker. And so this one as well. Okay. And we have a dark something going on here. I'm not too sure exactly what it is. Okay. This is a little bit heavier down here. A little bit darker. Right down here. Same way with down here. And we have this is pulsed a little darker up there. Okay. My chimney. Have a little street lamp right here. We have a street lamp right here. And this is going to be darker down here. Let's get this darker, a little bit darker here. Darker, darker, darker. Yeah. Okay, sign. And the rough light gray pole that's right there. Okay. Okay. And let's take a little bit of this light gray. Windshield. As they say in Europe, windscreen. Okay, we have something that's here. We'll just soften this up coming down. And we're going to just put in, that's done, maybe a little bit more red in some of these. Areas here. Let's get that windshield, windscreen, wind filling right here. All right, couple of those. The only other thing we want to do is maybe make some of the stuff brighter. Maybe we're going to make that brighter. And this one a little bit brighter in terms of give it something a little bit more of that. Okay. Now, shadow. Blue. Shadow is going to be a little bit of blue with alizarin crimson. In here. And here. And we'll put some shadow across the way. Just get me a broader brush. Alright, so we have the street going down that way. Okay. I think we've got it, guys. I think we have it. So close enough. At this point, we're in good shape. Don't want that quite white. Just tone that down a bit. And we'll call that a painting. Looks like we got... I don't know what I did here, but... All right, playing around now. So there we have our cityscape or our scene, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, street scene. I'm going to make some of this. This is all. I have to wait for this all to sort of tone down, and we're going to make some of that darker underneath. But I'll let that dry. There's a couple of things that I needed to take a look at and let it dry. I got a few things that I have to do here to make sure that this is a little bit more stronger in terms of its presentation. This stuff down here, it's dry, so I'm going to go ahead and put some darks in there. And I'm going to end up making sure that we understand that this is a vehicle, underside of the vehicle, dark there. We have a little bit dark here, a dark here. Again, the same thing. And that could be red. Actually, what I probably should do is do that red. I want this a little bit darker back here. And we have a car. This vehicle here. All right, so we'll make that redder. This, I want to make some of this. This is just so interesting. We're going to do that, and we're going to do this. Make those a little bit more interesting, okay? And a little bit redder. This is just going to indicate some stone, some rocks. Okay, so we have a little bit darker thing going on there. And we have, here's the key. Oh, wait a minute, I know what I want to do. Make this a little bit darker. But look, we have this going here. Okay. Interesting kinds of stuff. Wires going all over the place in this thing. Which I forgot to do earlier. Okay. We do have, and I'm going to end up making some of these windows over here. A little bit darker. There's all kinds of steps and stuff over here that I'm really not going to be bothered putting in. So that's that. This is just a dark house. Dark. I think we'll just make this all dark. Up in that area. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Bouquet. And I'm going to add this sort of red bush over here. Just to create more interest. Okay. So we'll just do another quick run. Just going to outline a little bit of here. Okay. Make this a little bit darker right here. Soften this up. And I think we're okay. I do want to go all right. I got it. That's going to be it now. Add a little bit of just a touch of this stuff here and there. And we're just going to make this a little bit brighter down here. A yellow house back there and back here. A little bit of opaque paint in here. Okay. Done good. I think I'm okay now. I think we got enough going there so that we should be okay. So we'll call that one. It is now going to be called the painting. Just changing this up a little bit more. Sounds good. Everything's fine. I think we'll leave it alone. Thank you very much for being with me again. This is Tony Visco. This is Painting for Pleasure.